It's news around the world, into Africa and across the nation Nigeria. You're welcome to ITVS World News. My name is Anulu Akpo Idowu. We kickstart from Nigeria, where the International Monetary Fund (IMF) has said stalled per capita growth, poverty, and high food security have aggravated the ongoing cost of living crisis in Nigeria. The report came amid rising inflation, exchange crisis, weak economic growth, and business shutdowns across the nation. The global lender said this in a report titled IMF Executive Board concludes post-financing assessment with Nigeria. According to the report, low revenue collection has hampered the provision of services and public investment. It noted that headline inflation reached 27% year-on-year in October, food inflation 32%, reflecting the effect of fuel subsidy removal, exchange rate depreciation, and poor agricultural production in the country. Amid Nigeria's current economic difficulties, the report noted that on January 12, 2024, the Executive Board of the International Monetary Fund concluded the post-financing assessment and endorsed the staff appraisal on the lapse of time basis. It added also that Nigeria's capacity to repay the IMF is very adequate. Meanwhile, nurses under the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives Abuja chapter today protested against the new verification certification guidelines released by the Nigeria and Midwifery Council of Nigeria. The nurses expressed displeasure over what they described as an attempt to hinder their freedom to pursue career opportunities, asking the council to address nurses' welfare, salary scale, shortage of staff, and other rights. The protest, monitored by news correspondents, was carried out at the NMCN's office in Abuja, and recalled that the NMCN had on Friday 7, 2024, issued a circular revising the guidelines for requesting verification of certificates for nurses and midwives. The council's circular was recently released after newsmen reported the deactivation of the verification portal on MCN's website since December 2023. The circular was signed by the Registrar of the Council, Dr. Farouk Abubakar, stating that a non-refundable fee per application shall be paid for verification to foreign boards of nursing as specified on the portal, which would cover the cost of courier services to the applicant's institutions of training, place of work, and foreign board. Away from Nigeria now to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where Emile Bolingo is not sure how long he and other residents of Goma in the east of Democratic Republic of Congo can hold out. This major city in the region, with about 2 million people, has been cut off from the farms that feed it for several days. It is the largest episode in the resurgence of fighting that has seen tens of thousands added to the nearly 7 million who have been forced from their homes in the country because of multiple conflicts. Rebels from the ethnic Tutsi-led M23 movement are blocking the two main roads into Goma from the north and west, preventing produce from getting through. Goma's population has swelled in recent days, with people running from advancing fighters. As the conflict edges closer, it brings back memories of 2012 when the rebels occupied the lakeside city for 10 days before abandoning it following international pressure. The M23, formed as an offshoot of another rebel group, began operating in 2012, ostensibly to protect the Tutsi population in the east of DR Congo, which had long complained of persecution and discrimination. And UN experts have said that the group is backed by neighboring Rwanda, which is also led by Tutsi, something that Kigali has consistently denied. And in Rwanda, a key parliamentary committee says the government's plan to send some asylum seekers to Rwanda is fundamentally incompatible with the United Kingdom's human rights safeguards. The Joint Committee on Human Rights and Legislation jeopardized the UK's international reputation, and the bill will be debated in detail by the House of Lords this week and face substantial opposition. Even if it passes, it is not clear whether fights will ever take off in the region, and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's controversial legislation was approved by MPs last month despite substantial opposition. Meanwhile, his own party split over the plan, and then the immigration minister quit, declaring it would not work. Under the scheme, which has cost 290 million euros so far, the United Kingdom would block claims for asylum from anyone arriving over the English Channel and instead sent them on the way trip to Rwanda. The UK Supreme Court ruled that Rwanda was not a safe country because it could send victims of abuses, including torture, back to countries they have fled from. In Senegal, Senegal's Minister of Business and Trade, who is also the government spokesperson, has defended President Macky Sall from accusations that he postponed the elections as a strategy to cling onto power. When President Sall controversially called off this month's election at a short notice, he had cited a row over the eligibility of candidates. That decision has been met with widespread international condemnation, including from the West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS, amid fears that it could threaten one of the region's most stable democracies. It has also sparked furious protests in which 3 people have died, and Mr. Fofana also defended Senegal's democratic system, arguing that it is the parliament that runs the country, not the civil society. Mr. Sall previously said that he was ready to step down, but wanted to leave the country stable and peaceful. It's news around the world, into Africa and across the nation Nigeria. You are still on to the world news on Immaculate Television, and a brief now into the world of sports. The Nigeria Super Eagles have expressed disappointment over their defeat at the 2023 CAF African Cup of Nations final. The Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire on Sunday won the 2023 CAF AFCON final, and the Ivorians saw off the Super Eagles of Nigeria in a 10-1 defeat. The two strikes from Frank Kessie and Sebastian Haller were enough to cancel Troostekong's opener. Prior to the game, the Super Eagles player and officials were confident that Nigeria would be crowned kings of Africa. Reacting to their loss in an X-tweet on Monday, the Eagles said even though they feel disappointed, they will cherish the silver medal they won. Still in sport, the men's marathon world record holder, Kenya's Kelvin Kiptum, 24 years of age, has died in a road accident in his home country. He was killed alongside his coach, Rwanda's Gervais Hakizimana, in a car on the road in western Kenya on Sunday. Kiptum made a breakthrough in 2023 as a rival compatriot Eliud Kipchoge, one of the greatest marathon runners. And it was in Chicago last October that Kiptum bettered Kipchoge's achievements, clocking the 26.2 miles, about 42 kilometers, in 2 hours and 35 seconds. The two athletes have been named in Kenya's provisional marathon team for the Olympics in Paris later this year. The road accident happened at about 23 o'clock local time on Sunday. Police were quoted as saying by the AFP news agency. And giving further details of the crash, police said Kiptum was the driver and the vehicle lost control on the road, killing the two on the spot. Just last week, his team announced that he would attempt to run the distance in under 2 hours at the Rotterdam Marathon, a feat that has never been achieved in open competition. The rise to fame for the father of two had been rapid. He only ran his first full marathon in 2022, and 6 months later, in just his third marathon, Kiptum took 34 seconds off the world record time in Chicago in his final race. He had already owned a distinct tactical approach that saw him run with the pack for 30 kilometers before upping the pace and going out on his own for the remainder of the race. And before we end the news, remember that you can stream our live programs on different multiple digital platforms. For iPhone users, Limex World TV app is where to find us, and for Android users, NetNiger TV app is where we are located. Once and again, thank you for joining on this edition. My name is Anoloakpo Idu, and on behalf of the entire news production crew, as well as the executive producer of this newscast, Itayo Folonsho, thank you for joining. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.